it's your girl, Tia Shasha High, the host of Millennial High, where the trend-setting millennial comes for motivation, inspiration, and deep conversation. As you know, the month of June is LGBT Pride Month, so for today's show, I caught up with Amber Hikes, Philadelphia's new executive director for the Office of LGBT Affairs. She's not in the studio with me, but I did manage to chat with her over the phone about how she's making a difference in the LGBT community, the great events in store for Pride Month, and any future plans she has on the horizon. It's such a great interview, and I'm so excited for you guys to hear it. Just a little bit about Millennial High. This show serves as a platform for those who inspire and provoke others to go beyond what they ever thought was possible for themselves. So if you have an inspirational, uplifting, thought-provoking message you want to share with the millennials of the world, I want you. Be on the show. Email me at millennialhigh@gmail.com and let's connect. But first, let's set the mood, as I always like to do before any interview. Set the mood and play one of Amber's favorite songs. Tracy Chapman, Fast Car. Hey, and we are back. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Millennial High, a new inspirational talk show. I'm your host, Tia Shasha High, and my guest today is the new executive director of the Office of LGBT Affairs in Philadelphia, in honor of LGBT Pride Month, which is the entire month of June. I got a chance to chat with her over the phone, and I recorded the interview for you. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Amber Hikes. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. It's a pleasure to be chatting with you. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so thrilled that I got a chance to connect with you. I mean, I remember Josh posting the article when you were coming back to Philadelphia as the executive director. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's awesome. And then when I went to his birthday party, he's like, Tia, you got to get Amber on your show. She's so, crucial to just to the neighborhood, just to Philadelphia and the LGBTQ community.
That is incredibly kind for you to say.
Yeah, no, but it's the truth. You're so humble too.
Oh, that's sweet. That's sweet. I just really love this city, and Philadelphia. I always say, like, I'm a native Atlantan, but I've really lived everywhere. But Philadelphia, there's just something about this city that just gets into your bones, it gets under your skin in a good way, and it stays there. It just really stays in your spirit. Like, I feel like I've known so many people who have lived in Philadelphia and then gone to other places, and then so many of them have ended up right back in this city. And even if they don't return to the city, they just can never quite shake Philadelphia. There's just something incredibly special about this place, and I'm so glad to be back and be working here as my community.
I love it. That's so interesting. I was going to say, how does it feel to be back? And you just answer that. I love Philly too. No, I love Philadelphia, and I have a lot of friends who are musicians, and they move out to go to New York, to make it, how that is. And it's just no, you got to come back to Philly, come back to Philadelphia. We'll love you here. No, but so I like diving into more of the person, like who you are. We're going to get into that, but I do want to hear about your journey. I mean, and as in your journey, did you know that you'd end up could you ever imagine you'd be the executive director right now in Philadelphia?
Oh my gosh. Absolutely. I tell you, this is so interesting to kind of talk to you about this. No, first of all, no, I never quite envisioned myself in this particular position. And I think there's several reasons for that. Like, it's multi-layered. I think first, just kind of right off the bat, I always saw myself in education, and I come from a long line of educators. Everyone in my family was in education, whether it was elementary ed or special ed or higher ed. That's just what we did. That's what all the women in my life have always done, really on both sides of my family. And that education's always been incredibly important to me. I always joke that the way other families feel about weddings, that's how we feel about graduation.
Yeah.
Like graduations are really important. Commencement is important. You can miss somebody's wedding, but you do not miss their graduation. Like education was always at the forefront in terms of priorities for my family. So I always told myself that I was definitely going to be an educator, and I ended up going into education, specifically working at Penn for quite a while and helping low-income first-generation high school students get into college. And that's just been incredible work. It's what I loved doing for years and years, and so I didn't see myself necessarily going into politics, if I can call it that, mostly because I saw myself being in education for the rest of my life. But that's not to say that other people around me didn't see me going into politics. I think since I was very, very young, people thought that I should certainly be a lawyer. That's probably because I like to argue a lot. I like to be right. I always love being right. I always like arguing, and I'm a profoundly logical person, sometimes to a fault. Like I'm just very, very logical person. So people thought that law would have made sense, and then certainly politics as well. But that was just those were never my leanings. I think you can do a lot of really great work in politics.
Absolutely.
But I was always, I was obviously more interested in doing that work kind of in classrooms and specifically with underrepresented folks and just helping to create access. I just saw myself in a more direct role. So yeah, to be fair with you, I hadn't really ever quite envisioned myself in this position, but I guess when duty calls, then you pick up the phone.
Exactly. I had an interview with someone. Her name is Michelle Lauren. She's awesome, and she said something like, sometimes you just walk into your passion. You just walk into your calling.
Real. You walk into your purpose.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Mm-hmm. And I think there's signs kind of echo on what Michelle said. Like, I think there's signs along the way when the universe is trying to push you in a certain direction or try to put it in your place. But if you're not listening to those signs, if you're not paying attention to them, I think in some instances the universe will slap you in the face with them, kind of knock you down.
So did the universe slap you, or?
Certainly. I mean, certainly. Yes, I would certainly say there were a lot of signs, and I'm a person that doesn't do well with kind of those quieter signs. I need somebody to just knock me in the face with the reality, and the universe certainly did that and said, this is where you need to go. You need to get off those beaches in California and get your butt back to the city.
Oh, man. You were in California on beaches? What?
I was.
Did you have to think twice about coming to Philadelphia? I mean, the winter wasn't that bad, and you just missed the winter, right? Because you came in March, right? When you started.
Well, you're forgetting that there was the biggest storm of the winter
that's
in
right.
March.
You brought it with
my
you.
Welcome home. No, I definitely did. Not from California, I promise. 75 is sunny every day over there. But yes, I had to think once, twice, 40,000 times. I'm looking at the ocean like, am I sure about this?
Right.
Especially because I knew what I was walking into. Like this is an incredibly challenging time for our community. It's not just a challenging time. It is the most challenging time that this community has ever seen, like specifically in Philadelphia. When we talk to our elders, they said we've never seen it like this. So I knew what I was walking into. I knew how difficult it would be personally. It would be on the people around me. I knew that there were some great risks that I was taking professionally. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, honestly, there's a lot of risk that's done in this work. But that it was just the universe saying, you really cannot pass this up. You really have to do it. This is a very unique time, and you need a unique set of skills to manage these issues. So went ahead and took that leap and came on back home.
And then talk to me about that. I like that you said the most challenging time we're facing right now. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Absolutely. I mean, we are facing so many different issues. I get hit with a new problem every day, just in really every hour, just in terms of the different aspects and facets of our community and what we're struggling with. So I can go into that as well. But I think kind of one of the principal issues that I'm struggling with, and certainly part of the impetus of my decision to come back, is really this conversation around racism and discrimination in the LGBT community. You know, it was framed initially as racism in the neighborhood, and of course we know that these kind of issues are not specific to any particular part of the city, in the same way they're not specific to any particular aspect of the community. I mean, in America, racism and discrimination are just a part of the fabric of this country.
Yes,
I mean,
unfortunately.
Unfortunately, it's predicated on those issues, right? Very much so. So we can't escape that. We can't escape that reality. And in our community, we are feeling the pain of having these very difficult conversations. And I say it's the most difficult time, not because this racism and discrimination is any more prevalent than it's ever been. It's really because we're finally starting to have the conversation. And people that perhaps had ignored the conversation in the past, or even folks that didn't feel like they tried to address it but they weren't heard, or people weren't organized enough to really elevate the concerns loudly enough for us to hear them en masse. Like we are in what I would consider like a perfect storm.
Right.
And now we're hearing these concerns. We're having people speak truth to their own experiences. We're having allies, white allies, listening and saying, okay, like, I know this is a real thing. I know I'm hearing my friends of color, my colleagues of color, saying that these are their very real experiences. What can I do to help? So those are the kind of conversations that are happening. But again, it is not easy work, nor should it be easy work.
Right.
It is incredibly challenging work. And we are just very much in the thick of it because we're the first ones to have this conversation nationally, like at this level. So it's been a very challenging time, but I know we're going to get through it, but it's not going to be easy.
It's not going to be easy. I mean, nothing truly worth having is easy. You know, you always kind of have to put up a fight for it in a way. And you have the people who step up into that position of leadership and leading the charge, so to speak. And that's who you've become. And is that the reason why you took on this position? Because, I mean, and honestly, you said earlier that you wanted to find yourself more into the field of education, or a teacher, but you are teaching. You know, you can actually look at this role as like, I mean, you are the master educator in this position.
That's so funny. That's I really appreciate you saying that, actually, Tia, because I hadn't conceptualized it in that way. Mm-hmm. There's times where I'm certainly like very literally educating, as in going in and doing trainings with police cadets, or even with members in the legislature, in the state or city legislature, and talking about the experience of LGBT people and how they can be better allies or even better community members. And so there's opportunities like that where I'm definitely teaching, and I'm like, oh, this is great. It's good that I'm an educator in this particular context, because I can speak to these issues in a different way. But I hadn't considered this idea of like being a master educator. I really appreciate that perspective, particularly when we're talking about these issues of race, because they are so difficult to manage. And I think that there are very few people, and frankly, very few professions that can approach these conversations in the ways that perhaps educators can, or social workers can. And the fact that I'm both of those things is helpful. And I encourage more social workers and more educators to come to this conversation. And I mean, more lawyers and more trainers, these kinds of people that have these backgrounds that can have them, because we have a way of talking about these very difficult concepts and making them relatable, you know, and making them palpable, and for people, having them be able to connect to the truth in these experiences. And I think that's really important. I say all the time that we have to, when we're talking about race and discrimination, like we have to be more comfortable with talking about the system, talking about the system and the problem, like that institution, as opposed to attacking the person, because we're all a function of this system.
True.
And certainly people can be racist, and people certainly have racist ideals for sure, but we are all functioning in this system that uplifts racism and frankly white supremacy. So we have to dismantle the system, and as long as we can do that as allies, then we're golden. That's
I love that phrase that you just used. Yeah, I love that. Dismantle the system. Yeah. I love that. The visual that it brings in my mind is one that is so great. Like I can write a script on it. I love that. Cool. I love that.
Do it.
So would you, Yeah, definitely. And it reminds me of I was all over your social, to be honest. So I recently,
crazy.
no, but I love it. So recently you tweeted, and I was like, oh my God, it was amazing.
Tweet. I'm the worst tweeter.
No, you're amazing.
Oh, I'm terrible. I haven't tweeted.
No.
Okay, so what did I say?
No, it was, trust me, it's great. You said silence is violence, and without justice for all of us, there would be no justice for any of us. We are in this together.
I did say that. That was weeks ago, but I did say that. I should tweet more. But
Thank you. That's exactly what I was saying. You should. I think you're awesome at it. It was like, it's like short and like powerful, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
that's the problem with brevity. I'm not very good at brevity. That's why I don't tweet, but I will try to be more brief. But I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you. Go ahead.
No, but this is great. And I just want to talk about, like, silence is violence, and without justice for all of us, there would be no justice for any of us. We are all in this together. Talk to me about that. Like, do you remember the circumstances around that?
I do. And so the circumstances specifically were, was around the conversation people were having with the Mazzoni Center and some concerns we've had as community members just about needing to speak about our experiences, feeling comfortable speaking about those experiences and feeling like we're going to be heard. And so I don't need to talk kind of more overarching and broad about that particular conversation.
Right.
But I think it's okay to do that, mostly because that quote works in so many different contexts, right? And now it depends on really where I am when I'm hearing it. Now that you said it back to me weeks later, it means something different to me right now.
Yes.
Right now, silence is violence. And understanding like liberation for all of us, it really means for me that conversation I was just saying about allies, like recognizing whether we're allies, whether we're cisgender allies who are allies to the trans community, or like I was saying before, white folks who are allies to black and brown folks, or of course straight folks who are allies to LGBT individuals. Like, silence is violence. If you Like, that's the thing, you know, if you're silent, then you're siding with the oppressor, right? That's what they say. I think that was, Bishop Desmond Tutu. Like, if you're silent in times of, in times of injustice, injustice is what it is, then you're siding with the oppressor. And that's exactly what it means. Like, if we do not help to liberate the people around us, even if the issue is not necessarily our issue, then that's violent. That is violence. If you're not standing up in times of injustice, that is violence.
That is so strong. So then what do you think about this? Is it enough just to put up a post on social media or change your profile picture to whatever the event is going on, or maybe posting something with the hashtag? You know, is that enough?
You know, it depends on the circumstance. The quick answer is actually yes, right? That's not the popular answer, but I'm going to say yes, because sometimes because even that act for some people could be incredibly courageous, right? So we have to meet people where they are. So just for some of us, for somebody like me,
yes.
But like for somebody like me, putting up just a status and not having any action behind it. So first of all, I'm called to do more. It literally is my job to have direct action, to act. So for me, that it would not be enough. That would not be acceptable. But let's take, for instance, so I used to work with high school students, and so let's talk about a freshman kid, let's say like a Catholic high school, and as far as they know, they're the only person that's LGBT at that school.
Right.
They're terrified about coming out, and what they can do, what they decide they're going to do is like do it on social media. And they're just going to put up a status that is something that's LGBT supportive, and maybe it's something that's like, you know, what Ellen said, you know, some 20-odd years ago, just like, I'm gay. A status is enough.
Right.
That status is a revolution, right? That status is a revolution for that person, for the other people to see, the allies that see it. That status is enough. So it really depends on where you are, who you are, and what you're able to do. I still think if that's all you're able to do, if that's the capacity that you have, then do that. You know, do that. Do at least that. If that's what you have, then do it. But do not remain silent. And if you can help to say something, if you can do it from whatever place you are, because not everybody has that access and not everybody has the privilege to speak out. But if you can, then do so.
Now, I know you've only been in this position for a short amount of time, a little over 2 months, right?
That's exactly right, yeah.
So, you know, with leadership comes great responsibility, yeah?
Yes.
So how has this position changed you in any way? Like, now that do you feel at all accountable, like personally accountable for what happens in the community?
God, you ask such excellent questions. I also haven't done an interview in a little while.
Oh,
So
sorry.
I love that you're asking these questions. I appreciate that they're so thoughtful and in depth, because I haven't been able to really reflect. I mean, this job is so incredibly busy. I haven't really been able to think about maybe some of these questions that were asked to me 2 months ago and how I would have answered them differently. But I don't think anybody's asked this one. So anyway. So to you, they're phenomenal questions. How is the job changed me? Do I feel accountable? Oh my God, yeah. I mean, I felt accountable from day one. Obviously, I took the job understanding that I was going to be accountable to an entire community in a way that not many other people in this city are. And so I understood that. I was ready for that weight. I do think that what has changed me. What has changed my perspective is really having the opportunity to not just connect with some of the loudest voices in the room, right? Not just connect with some of the louder people in the conversation, but to receive those phone calls, to receive those emails from people who aren't able to, and again, let's go back to access, people who don't have the access to raise those voices, maybe don't have the ability to be out on the streets, people who are really kind of like largely forgotten, understanding that I'm accountable to those people as well. I'm accountable to the kid that called me yesterday that's having serious like trans issues at their college, like being like transphobic issues at their college that they're experiencing from professors and administrators and people that are just ignoring them. I'm accountable to the call that I got right before you called me from victim services saying 2 people were attacked and had this last night had anti-gay slurs hurled at them, and they're trying to get in touch with them so that I can get in touch with them. So I'm accountable to those people that we don't hear about.
Right.
We don't hear about just yet. I'm accountable to those folks. And then, of course, I'm accountable to the people that are kind of raising their voices and making sure they're being heard and making sure that I know that I have to be accountable. So certainly I'm just more aware of the range and the scope of this position. And I want to be clear about the fact that I've, in a lot of ways, brought this on myself. I have made sure that the office is more accountable. I talk all the time about accountability, accessibility, and the presence of this office. In the past, we've not done the best job of being situated in the community because that wasn't what was being asked of this office. This office was accountable to the mayor, and that was pretty much it. It was our job. We're like the principal policy advisors to the mayor. It's like, hey, this is what you should be doing in terms of policy. This is what you need to be knowing about what's going on in the community. Just a heads up. Here's some talking points for these events. Like, let's keep your finger on the pulse of the community. But it wasn't really like situated in the community. And for me and the person that I am, I didn't come back to Philadelphia to sit on the sidelines and watch us tear ourselves apart, right? I didn't come back to watch things just continue business as usual. I didn't come all the way back for that. So I've shifted the focus of the office and made us more outward facing, made us more accountable to the community. And it's going to be hard. I've made my job harder. I've done it intentionally though, because the community deserves it.
Yeah.
So
or you've made your job the way it should have been, right?
Some would probably argue that. Yeah, that's probably exactly what I've done, but it has certainly also made it much more challenging. But you're right, it's exactly how it should be. So
I love what you said about. Continue. Go ahead, Amber.
Oh no, I was just ending saying it's exactly how it should be.
I love how you said, your focus, your perspective changed, and they're not little stories. They're just not like the newsworthy stories yet. But these are just as important because once it hits the news, something horrible happened by that time.
That's right.
So your thing is so it seems like, you're trying to prevent it from even getting to that level.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And for anybody that's done kind of policy and advocacy work, even folks that, and of course people that have done that frontline work, with delivering services to our community members, you know that you have an opportunity to be that liaison, or also be the person that stops it from getting to that place. So if we're talking about this college student, I was just saying, I can be that person that can elevate the student's voice and make sure that if administrators kind of passed over this person or felt that it wasn't that much of a concern, then the office, the weight of the mayor can come in and say, hey, you need to pay attention to this before this gets worse. Before this goes in the wrong direction. So it's a tremendous amount of responsibility, but it's really quite a pleasure to be able to do the work. I'm incredibly honored every day to be doing this.
You know what I love though? I love when people, what I find just sitting here, just in the studio, I've had like just like really great people to interview. And I love interviewing those who are inspiring others and going beyond themselves, going outside of themselves, making that extra. It's not even an effort because it's what you're called to do. It's like this passion. And the more I talk to to people like you, Amber, and it's kind of like you're just so humble. It's just like just as natural as like getting up and washing your face. It's like
That
this
is
goodness
so
comes
sweet.
so effortlessly to you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. That's very kind. I mean, well, first of all, it's public service, so there's nothing too glamorous or exciting about it. And I think if more people could keep their egos out of public service, they would probably be better public servants. So, so I kind of try to approach it in that regard. And again, like I do serve at the pleasure of the mayor, but I certainly also feel that I serve at the pleasure of this community.
Yes.
So I think it's important to stay grounded in that way, stay grounded in this community and with these needs. And it also helps to have really come from the community, to have done the vast majority of my work has been community work. So there's no ego involved in that. You just get in and do what needs to be done. So yeah, that's just kind of the approach I try to take in it.
So let's talk a little bit about just your days in office so far. So what are some things that you have done differently? Like what is something that you've changed to make your office more accessible?
Oh, that's so great that you're asking that, because I can actually put in a little bit of a plug. I mean, we do things differently every single day. I mean, I'm excited that we launched this new Facebook page, and people are really excited about that. Our Twitter account is certainly more active, and of course, it could absolutely be more active since I've got this brand new intern that just started this week. So we're going to get our social media presence kicking even more.
Yeah.
But I think that social media piece has been a huge part of our accessibility. Obviously, not everybody has a computer and is on Facebook and Twitter, but we think that for those who are, and we know that people receive their news that way, a lot of people receive their news that way, regardless of their age, we really want to be able to connect with residents in that capacity. So it's been a nice way to show folks this is what the office is doing. These are the initiatives that we are prioritizing. This is where we are in the city. These are some events that we're going to, some events that we're hosting. And because what we hear every time we go out is that people just want to get involved.
Right.
They know that they know this is a challenging time for the community. They know that the community needs them. They need their particular set of skills and their unique perspective. And they said, okay, like just tell us where we need to be, and we'll be there. We'll show up to help do this work. And that's been so helpful. Just trying to help keep people involved in what's going on with our office. So I think that's been a big piece of it that I've gotten some really great responses from. And I think the other side of it is not just that social media piece, but again, to these events, we're hosting community conversations. This is an initiative that I came up with that really is centered around accessibility and accountability, really those two things. So our very first community conversation is actually next Thursday, so it's exactly a week away, and we'll be at the William Wade Community Center, which is, of course, a perfect kind of venue for that. And the Mayor's Commission on LGBT Affairs is actually going to be helping with community conversation, with the opportunity to get to know the office, get to know the commission, understand kind of what our priorities are, what our committees are up to, but then also, and it's the most important part, do breakout groups so we can hear from people what they would like the commission to address.
Oh, wow. I love that.
Right? I mean, it's just such a huge part. I get so frustrated with government that seeks to tell its residents what needs to be important to them instead of asking the residents what they need. Like, we need to shift that model, right? That makes no sense.
Yeah, right, exactly.
It makes no sense at all. The people that are there that are living these lives are probably, better suited to tell you what they need as opposed to the other way around. And so we recognize that we're just coming from the perspective that we are also community members, so we know the things that we would have liked to see. So we'll start with that template and then bring it right back to the community and say, hey, does this make sense to you? Do you feel like something else should be bumped up on the priority list? What do you feel like we need? And then, of course, these are going to be like monthly or bi-monthly conversations, so that's where that accountability piece comes in. Let's circle back around to update you on what we're doing, check back in with you about what needs to be done, and really have that proactive approach. Like, I'm a profoundly type A person. I always say that, and people make fun of me about being so organized and so kind of structured. But that's what's really important about this, is to have some structure and some process to what we're doing and to be able to have that accountability behind it. So those are just a couple of the things that we're doing with the office that I think that I know for a fact are incredibly different from what the office has done in the past.
I love that. I think that's completely awesome. I just want to clarify one thing. The community conversation, I just want to make sure that the listener knows that it would have already happened, right?
That is that's exactly.
I don't want anyone showing up and saying like, "Wait a minute, where?"
But that's okay. Yes, so by the time this airs, yes,
Right.
the conversation would have already happened, and it went amazingly. It was
I love it. Definitely pre-pave that right now, right?
Exactly. Put it in the universe.
Right, exactly.
So, but the next one we were planning. We're planning one for June. It may be a little tough because it's also Pride Month and we have so much going on.
Right. I want to talk to you about that. So tell me about what your office is doing during Pride Month. Tell me about it.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So we are doing, again, this is kind of one of those firsts again. We're doing the first ever, as far as to my knowledge, first ever flag raising, like rainbow flag raising during Pride Month.
Awesome.
So we always raise a flag, but we do it in October for LGBT History Month and around Outfest. Outfest is huge as well.
Right.
But we haven't raised one in June, which is kind of silly. So we're going to do that. But the very exciting thing that I can tell you now, because it doesn't air until later, is that we're going to be raising a new flag.
Oh,
So
wow.
we have a brand new flag that is going to be flown at City Hall, and I can't give too many more details about it. We'll kind of be teasing some details about it in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
But I'll use the mayor's words. This is a game changer.
Oh, I love it.
He saw it. He said, "Whoa!" I mean, he cursed when he said it, but he said, "Wow, this is a game changer." And I said, "Yes, sir, it absolutely is."
Wow.
So I'll say that. That was a teaser. It'll be awesome to have people out. But it's right here at City Hall, June 8th, right where at the flagpoles. We call that the apron. But it's called June 8th, 3:30 to 5 p.m. There'll be performances and music and just like good vibes. To just really celebrate each other because that's what Pride Month is about.
Yeah.
And then a very special flag raising.
I love it. Wait, I just have one question, and if you can tell me, I would love it. So who designed the flag?
I could tell you, yes. Actually, we have some awesome colleagues over at Tierney Ad Agency. So Tierney is this fantastic and huge, frankly, ad agency here in Philadelphia. Some of their customers are Comcast and IBX, who are also working with the office on some great initiatives to help out LGBT residents in the city. And Tierney reached out to us. They had read some stories about the office and change of leadership and some of the things that we were going to be doing, and they wanted to help. And so they gifted us with this awesome symbol. And that's what I can.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited now. That's so awesome.
It's going to be great. You're going to love it. I promise. Only a few people know, but the people that have seen it, they are absolutely in love. I showed somebody last night when I was at an event, and they actually teared up.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God. Like, they cried in front of me. I was like, wow, that's the best response so far. But there's only been positive responses, so.
Oh, my God.
Love it.
I'm thrilled. I can't wait to see. That's so awesome. So so that's Pride Month. So you have the day. What is that, a Thursday? Is that a Thursday that you're having this ceremony?
Thursday, June 8th. That's exactly right. Thursday, June 8th. Having a whole event. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So now we have to start winding down the interview, unfortunately. But I thank you so much again, Amber.
Absolutely.
You're awesome.
It's been such a pleasure.
And I have to acknowledge my friend Josh on what he really connected us because, we have that mutual friend and Josh and I really wanted him to be my co-host today. He got tied up at a meeting, and I was just like, "Oh, Josh, I want you here."
No worries. I see Josh all the time, and we'll have to do this again.
We have to do it again, like a follow-up or something, a follow-up interview.
Sounds perfect.
I would love it.
Come to that one.
Oh, absolutely. And he will too. And actually he was just sending me a message. He's so sad, like right now, totally sad. But I want to have just like a quick speed round with you, just random questions I'm going to ask you. Random, totally random. Okay, what is your favorite Philly restaurant?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I would think if I'm doing speed rounds, Barbuzzo is the first thing that comes to mind.
Oh, yay. I like them. Okay, and best place to go on vacation?
Oh, man, this just changed for me recently. So I just got back from London, and I really enjoyed that, but I prefer tropical places. So historically, it's been Miami.
Miami? Yeah?
But it actually may be places in California now since I lived out there.
We're going to have to talk about this a little bit more because this is not as... Wait. Miami Really? Yeah.
It historically been Miami. I think I'm kind of leaning towards like Venice Beach.
Right. Like
if we're talking about domestically, if we're talking about
internationally, everywhere. I'm talking about the world. Okay, let's just open
the world.
Any place.
Well, I'll tell you this, because vacation is different for me. Vacation is different than just like visiting.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite place that I visited so far has definitely been Australia. So I would say I put Australia up there.
I want to go to Australia.
Oh, it's a blast, and it's beautiful. Like, I went to Sydney, so Sydney was like pristinely clean. It was also around the Olympics, so it was like probably the cleanest it's ever been. But it was gorgeous. So I would say I really enjoyed Australia.
I would love to go to Australia. That's like one that's on my list. Awesome.
It's good.
I gotta go.
5-hour flight, but it's worth it once you get there.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed with that. I have no idea why. I'm just obsessed. Like everything on my IG or anything I follow, it's like, oh, they live in Australia too. Like, geez. Something's calling me there. Is that the universe? Like you said, is that the universe?
Exactly
like
what it is. That's exactly the universe.
If you could possess any magical power, what would it be?
Oh, it's got to be flight. It's always got to be flight. Yeah, I don't want to read people's minds. That's too scary. So it's going to be flight.
What about like and Facebook or Twitter?
Oh, it's got to be Facebook because I'm trying to figure out this Twitter thing.
You have it down packed. I'm telling you that already.
Oh, God. I'm terrible. I got to learn more about it. But Facebook for right now.
Okay.
I get better at Twitter.
Now, bonus question. If you could go back and talk to your 11-year-old beautiful self, what would you tell her?
Oh, my God. I haven't thought about her in a long time. She went through it. So 11 years old. My parents had just been divorced. Mm-hmm. My mom left, and we moved from Louisiana all the way up to Delaware. And I was feeling pretty lost at that time and didn't have a lot of friends. I was a really goofy looking kid and sister, and things were really, really difficult. And I know I didn't feel as confident as the other girls. I definitely didn't feel as pretty. I definitely didn't feel as popular or as smart. And I would really, oh my gosh, it's going to get me all emotional here, but I would tell her that she's going to grow into those glasses and that big nose. She's going to grow into that. She's going to love her nose, and she's going to grow into all her features and just become like one of the cool, badass black girls that she looked up to. She was going to become one of those people.
I love it.
It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay, but you just got to accept the things about yourself that you don't maybe necessarily like, but you sure as hell can't change.
Right.
Find a way to love those parts, and that's really been the key to that success, I think. That's what I would tell her. Just love those parts that you don't quite like. Find a way to like them.
You are amazing. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you, Tia. Thank you for those questions. I appreciate it. This has been a lot of fun. We got to do it again.
You are absolutely amazing. Thank you, Amber. And I just want to say to everyone listening, I believe in you, and go out there and live your life. You are magical. So be inspired by Amber and her words and go out and live it. And that was Amber Hikes, the new executive director for the Office of LGBT Affairs in Philadelphia. So I caught up with Josh since he wasn't able to sit with me during Amber's interview. And I had one question for him. You know, being one of the top event producers in Philadelphia for all things LGBT, you know, what does Pride Month mean to him? And his answer, check it out.
Growing up a gay person, I didn't always feel proud of that. It's been a complete struggle accepting who I was from the first day that someone told me that I was gay, from the first day that someone said that I was weird for being who I was, from the very first time I was told that I was making them uncomfortable for being who I am. That didn't make me feel very proud. So knowing that there's a Pride Month, June is Pride Month, knowing that there are things called gay prides around the world, it is celebrating who I am internally and who I live my life as a gay person, a proud gay person. Having the luxury of working with so many talented gay people and knowing so many incredible gay people my whole life, I am proud to have them in my life, and knowing how much they've affected me has made me proud also. Being a minority in this country and in this world can be very trying. So when you grow up and find your tribe and you figure out who you are, there's your tribe waiting for you in the wings, and then that's when the real maturing happens. Gay people don't have the luxury of making the mistakes that straight people do at a young age, so there's a lot of late maturing for gay people and having really tough times finding love, because there are so many damaged gay people in the world, and there are so many people that have been told no by so many people. It's really hard to be proud at times. It's been a struggle to find my happy over the years, but with such an amazing core group of people made up of really incredible artists and visionaries and creative people, I've become a really proud person, inspired by the people that I'm surrounded with. Pride Month means a lot to me. Being an influencer in the gay scene in Philadelphia, I feel very proud of my accomplishments, such as my hit shows, such as the network of events and performers that I'm connected to. There's so much creativity and so much innovation in the Philadelphia performance art scene. And the fact that I'm at the forefront of that is the love story of my life. And having pride is something that I take everywhere. It's not just something that you keep for June. It is an all day, every day pride that you must wear like a shield of armor to be yourself happily and to live out loud happily. So the fact that there's 1 month a year that we are blatantly drenched in the rainbow colors and marching around on floats, being as proud as we can be, is so important to the younger generations that are going to be coming up. I always look at gay prides as a way to connect and to make a difference with younger people who don't feel so proud of who they are and who are told that they're freaks and who are bullied in their schools. They don't have the access to what people that are 21 and up have access to, which is finding their tribes. It's definitely getting easier to be gay in the world, just like it is for any minority group. But having a pride where you can go and live out loud in public and happily and forcefully is something so important that it happens in almost every major city in the world, in the country as well. Being in a gay pride parade is like nothing that I can explain. It's magical and it's euphoric. You see little 10-year-old kids that are gay that are wearing gay pride colors with their parents who support them so loudly and so proudly. And see that is such a beautiful thing. And having people believe in their children and having connectivity as part of their life is so important as well. And looking around you and seeing like-minded people that are part of exactly who you are as a person is so important. So finding the group of people and figuring out how to live with them and around them and being authentic at all times is so important. But celebrating vividly at a gay pride rally or a gay pride march or parade is so beautiful, and seeing the pride everywhere, just flying through the sky over the parade and from the performances. I have the luxury of having my own float this year in the gay pride parade, and that is usually given to the venues, but Josh Wolf Presents is getting its own float, and this is the second time. I got it last year too, and I mean, what an honor it is to be involved in that. So all the performers from all of my shows are going to be marching with me under the Josh Wolf Presents umbrella. So being a kid and going from there to here is something that I don't take for granted. Being a little fat child one day, 20 years ago, being told that, I was a complete freak, that I was too gay, that I talked gay, that I was a girl, that I was this, I was that, being dissed for who I was something that was so hurtful and so despicable to have to go through when you're a little kid, because those formative years are so important, and having a group of people tell you that you're a freak at such a young age is devastating. But growing up and finding your tribe, whether that is at a pride parade, a gay pride march, a gay pride event, find your tribe and everything will fall into place. As soon as you find your people that are like-minded and as open-hearted as you are, that's when the real love of your life can begin. Happy Pride Month.
Thank you so much, Josh. Thank you so much, Amber. If you're just tuning in, you just heard Josh Schoenwolf answer the question, why is Pride Month so important to him? Before Josh, we spoke with Amber Hikes, the new executive director for the Office of LGBT Affairs. This has been, hands down, such a great show for me. Like, my heart is so full with the passion that Amber and Josh exude. Absolutely. And it reminds me of a poem that I read recently. So this poem is called Freedom. And here it is. Are we free? We say we are, but are we really? We say it is a free country, but is it? We have rules that control us, a president, a Congress who decide things for us, make us, shape us into America. Can't we do that ourselves? Now I know that freedom is something that no Americans can know. We are like birds in a cage, knots in a rope, a finger in a Chinese finger trap. I don't know if I will ever be free. I don't know if you will either. But one thing I know is that freedom is within you. You can unlock that cage, untie that knot, get out of that trap. Take freedom by the ear and say, I have won my race. I have finally found you. Now I am free. So that was written by an 11-year-old. And I want to close on that. But thank you to all my listeners. Thank you so much. I appreciate you more than you will ever know. And with that, I believe in you. Enjoy your weekend. Up next is my girl, Delilah Robin. And pretty soon, Philly Cam is going to have our first on-air fun drive. And that's in about 2 weeks. So I'm so excited for it. Talk to you later.